Hallelujah. Send your power. The views expressed during this program are not necessarily those of Wise Q95 FM radio. Wise Q95 FM radio has not been able to independently verify the factual correctness or the allegations and statements made during the course of this program and cannot vouch for their accuracy. Therefore, Wise Q95 FM radio will not accept any responsibility or liability for the statements or allegations made in the course of this program.
I know you're asking today, how long will it take? Somebody's asking, how long will prejudice blind the visions of men? I come to say to you this afternoon, how long, not long.
Wake up call to all patriots of Dominica, whether living here or abroad. Let us join our voices, forces, skills, and abilities to help save this country. Calling fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters, youngest to eldest, Kalinago brothers and sisters to play their part in this patriotic movement. The work of saving and preserving Dominica for future generations is our patriotic duty. Patriots Voices on Cue, every Sunday at its new time, 5 to 8 p.m.
Nature Island Dominica Civil Liberties Foundation, Inc. Nidcliff, uniting our Kalinago and Afro-Caribbean nature islanders and friends of Dominica, at home and abroad, coming together to help preserve the integrity of Dominica's democracy, human rights, and civil liberties, ensuring free, fair, and competitive elections on a level playing field within a system that guarantees freedom of expression, belief and association, respect for the inalienable rights of individuals and minorities, respect for the rule of law, for free communications media, and free from psychological, mental, and physical abuse of women, minors, the elderly, and young men. State lands are secretly being sold to political acolytes and shady foreigners. CBI hotels are sprouting up all over Dominica. Persons are becoming rich overnight. Public projects are awarded to foreigners and cronies without public tender, and the public is forced to pay in excess of $65,000 a month to rent and maintain a palace for a prime minister. In spite of this obscene display of wealth, seemingly generated by illegal means, Dominicans still live under tarpaulins and are deprived of a basic stimulus package in a debilitating pandemic. Monies donated by the World Health Organization to alleviate suffering seem to be diverted and squandered. Political allegiance is now a requirement for public assistance. while those who exercise their freedom of speech are victimized and ostracized. Nitcliff, support our radiothon, fundraising events, subscriptions, GoFundMe, and other initiatives to help raise funds to support a legal challenge against the siphoning of public funds from the Consolidated Fund and other initiatives and actions. Nature Island Dominica Civil Liberties Foundation, Inc., Nitcliff, working to help unify and build Dominica and our Afro-Caribbean and Kalinago brothers and sisters at home and abroad. Nitcliff, fighting to save our Nature Island.
To independently verify the factual correctness or the allegations and statements made during the course of this program and cannot vouch for their accuracy. Therefore, Wise Q95 FM radio will not accept any responsibility or liability for the statements or allegations made in the course of this program.
I know you're asking today, how long will it take? Somebody's asking, how long will prejudice blind the visions of men? I come to say to you this afternoon, how long, not long.
Wake up call to all patriots of Dominica, whether living here or abroad. Let us join our voices, forces, skills, and abilities to help save this country. Calling fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters, youngest to eldest, Kalinago brothers and sisters to play their part in this patriotic movement. The work of saving and preserving Dominica for future generations is our patriotic duty. Patriots Voices on Cue, every Sunday at its new time, 5 to 8 p.m.
Nature Island Dominica Civil Liberties Foundation, Inc. Nidcliff, uniting our Kalinago and Afro-Caribbean nature islanders and friends of Dominica, at home and abroad, coming together to help preserve the integrity of Dominica's democracy, human rights, and civil liberties, ensuring free, fair, and competitive elections on a level playing field within a system that guarantees freedom of expression, belief, and association.
Good evening, all of you listeners out there. We are here, the Concerned Citizens Movement, with their program Patriot Voices on Cue. Sorry to be late tonight, but we are here. Yes, we are not here in your usual voice, Mr. John Blanchard, who unfortunately will not be with us this evening due to other pressing matters. As your president, those of you, just to remind you, my name is Washburn Coffee. So I'm here to really facilitate the program tonight. But we have on the console, yes, Richie Farrell is assisting us tonight on the console instead of our usual Mr. Brother Blanchard. And we will also have joining us, we have member of CCM, overseas member, Mr. Zed Lloyd will be joining us. I think he was about to start off the program, maybe recognizing that we were not here, but Brother Zed, I'm here, so I will just make the preliminary opening remarks and then you will join us at an appropriate time, Brother Zed. And of course, we will also have joining us tonight another member of the Concerned Citizens Movement. We have Dr. Brother Don Corriett, who will be joining us. I think he will have some good perspectives to share, especially given his experience working with disaster preparedness and so forth. And I think we have been warned of some imminent maybe weather conditions maybe a week away from now. So we will have Mr. Don Corriett with us. And obviously, I'm sure he will share some very pertinent issues tonight as regards to disaster preparedness generally. We are in the season, so we always have to be prepared. Yes, we would normally at this time issue our list of fans, wherever they are. I know Mr. Blanchard would normally have all his list of all his fans and so on. So on behalf of Mr. Blanchard, I want to shout out all his fans that he would normally shout out tonight. I do not have that list with me, but in terms of my own list, starting in the East Coast, Rivier Cyric in particular, all our fans up there, Tinom and John and John George, Augustine Polidor, and all our fans in Montjean, Capitan and Jim Cadet and Andy Matthew, all of you out there. And my good friend in Rivier Cyric, he told me not to leave him out. Talking about Lastborn, he says whenever he knows that program is on, he usually makes sure he's tuned on. So Lastborn, I want to shout you tonight. And I also want to shout my family in La Plaine, the bread man with the bakery, Mr. Coffee up there. I want to shout you out tonight. He told me he's always listening and he would like to get a shout. So let me shout you there out, Mr. Coffee, the bread man in La Plaine. Yes, and we move to Coolibistry, of course, my other area, all my good friends down there, shouting Morrill Daniel and John Foy and Becky, and all of you down there, the James Foy family, Joseph family, can't call all the names tonight. But as I shouting out Coolibistry, yes, I think I heard of the passing of my good friend Titi. think he's can't remember his first name, but Mr. Shillingford. So I want to extend my condolences to the family and friends of our comrade brother Titi, better known as Titi, but is Shillingford or the Shillingford family in Kolibistra and elsewhere. We want to shout you out in a very special way tonight and recognize the passing away of Titi. And as we on that score, let me also extend condolences to the family of Mr. Smith, Mr. Arthur Smith, a stalwart in the trade union movement. He was very active in the 70s and the 80s in the trade union movement. And his funeral was today. So I want to extend our condolences on behalf of the CCM to his family and friends. And we want to take the opportunity to extend condolences to all our patriots out there who may have lost loved ones during the recent period. So we have been late. I just want to shout out all CCM members, all the patriots. We want to shout out the people in the north, in the Carib territory, in the Marigot, all of you there who listen to us from time to time. Elos Bar on Independence Street. All our friends out there in Point Michel, all our members of the CCM in Point Michel, Melviners and Vincent, all the crew out there, we want to shout you in a very special way. The women movement, Rosa Sparks, all of you in affiliates of the Electoral Reform Coalition, I want to use this opportunity to shout you out in a very special way tonight. And all our fans, wherever you are in the north, east, west, and south of Dominica, Grand Bay, Scott said, in the east on the west coast, we want to shout you and welcome you to your valued program on a Friday night, Patriot Voices on Q, being brought to you on behalf of the Concerned Citizens Movement.
Nature Island Dominica Civil Liberties Foundation, Inc., Nidcliff, uniting our Kalinago and Afro-Caribbean Nature Islanders and friends of Dominica, at home and abroad, coming together to help preserve the integrity of Dominica's democracy, human rights, and civil liberties, ensuring free, fair, and competitive elections on a level playing field within a system that guarantees freedom of expression, belief and association, respect for the inalienable rights of individuals and minorities, respect for the rule of law, for free communications media, and free from psychological, mental, and physical abuse of women, minors, the elderly, and young men. State lands are secretly being sold to political acolytes and shady foreigners. CBI hotels are sprouting up all over Dominica. Persons are becoming rich overnight. Public projects are awarded to foreigners and cronies without public tender, and the public is forced to pay in excess of 60 a month to rent and maintain a palace for a prime minister. In spite of this obscene display of wealth, seemingly generated by illegal means, Dominicans still live under tarpaulins and are deprived of a basic stimulus package in a debilitating pandemic. Monies donated by the World Health Organization to alleviate suffering seem to be diverted and squandered. Political allegiance is now a requirement for public assistance, while those who exercise their freedom of speech are victimized and ostracized. Nitcliff, support our radiothon, fundraising events, subscriptions, GoFundMe, and other initiatives to help raise funds to support a legal challenge against the siphoning of public funds from the Consolidated Fund and other initiatives and actions. Nature Island Dominica Civil Liberties Foundation, Inc., Nitcliff, working to help unify and build Dominica and our Afro-Caribbean and Kalinago brothers and sisters at home and abroad. Nitcliff, fighting to save our Nature Island.
Yes, just to inform you what you can expect in terms of our program tonight. Following my brief remarks, opening remarks, we will have the spiritual message from Mrs. Valentine, and we will have a comment on that. Brother Zed, you are free as well to comment in regard to the spiritual message in a while. And as I said, we will have Brother Zed with us, and of course, Brother Don Corrier. But let me just say, our opening remark, especially as it relates to the issue of electoral reform, which has been one of the topics, one of the critical issues over time. Just to bring you up to speed and up to date, we and I'm talking here in relation to the work of the Electoral Reform Coalition. The Concerned Citizens Movement is one of the affiliates as a civil society organization with the Electoral Reform Coalition. And today the Electoral Reform Coalition, as part of its ongoing activities with regards to the electoral reform process, today we presented what we called the People's Legislation. That was presented to the Honorable Prime Minister's office, to the office of the Electoral Commission, and also to the office of Her Excellency the President. These proposed legislative amendments were consented to at the last People's Parliament that was held by the Electoral Reform Coalition maybe about a month ago at the Arch. And the numbers of persons who were there consented to a resolution with regards to our proposals on significant aspects of the electoral reform legislation. So that was refined and prepared in a very presentable manner in a booklet, 10-page or so booklet form. And that was presented as our, I wouldn't say our final comments, but our comments as it relates to what we believe should form part of a comprehensive legislative proposal to Parliament. So it is significant, as a significant milestone for us. Tremendous work has been done by the Electoral Reform Coalition since its inception. And that culminated today with very firm proposals and detailed proposals on significant aspects of the proposed legislation that we felt needed refining to suit the aspirations and the wishes of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Actually, when the idea of that presentation was conceived, we tentatively agreed, or we had agreed really, to have a procession of all the patriots who would have liked to join a procession to present those legislative amendments. But because of certain circumstances and because of certain logistical arrangements, we had to put off the procession aspect, but to ensure that the proposals would be presented on time so that they could find themselves after consideration in the proposals that we would like to see forwarded towards the parliament for debate. So it was crucial that we did that within a certain time frame, and therefore the procession aspect of the presentation had to be put off. But I am sure you, the patriots and the well-wishers, I am sure that if circumstances demand, then you would choose another occasion to have such a procession or something maybe slightly different to what we may have anticipated today. So this is what we did. All of this work is being done by few of the leaders of the various organizations that form the Electoral Reform Coalition. And as I explained in my contribution to a press conference held following the presentation this morning, tremendous work has been and resources have gone into this process, especially as regards to the work of the Electoral Reform Coalition. We believe that as an Electoral Reform Coalition, the work we have done have indeed made a difference in terms of where we are now. So while some may believe that other strategies could probably paid off, but we have used all amenable means. I would say we tried our best to use all logical means without any unforeseen circumstances to go through this process. So we are indeed glad where we are. We are doing it for the people, not for ourselves, so that in the end, Dominica can have a level playing field, free and fair elections. We can go to our elections and we know that the playing field is level. You see what's happening in the Olympics. Yes, we win gold, but it's because the playing field, the rules have applied to everybody in the same way. So we would want to have a similar situation where our politics and our elections is concerned, so that after an election, everybody can feel that, yes, the best person has won. And it's not because people have used loopholes in the legislation to do all kind of craft and all unforeseen circumstances to ensure a win in an election. So that is what we are trying to avoid, and it is being done on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. So these are my opening statements, and then we will move into the spiritual message. We'll get some comments from Zed, and then we'll move on from there. Brother Don Corriet has just joined us in the studio, so at an appropriate time, he will make his introduction to discussion here this evening.
Greetings, beloved. Jeremiah 31:22 poses this question: How long will you wander, O Israel? Dominica, unfaithful daughter. Emphasis mine. The Lord specifically those who are keeping God's commands and are holding to the testimony of Jesus Christ. But for the prescribed antidote in Revelations 12:11, which states, "They overcame him because of the Lamb's blood and because of the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives even when faced with death." Close quotes. Never discount wisdom. Proverbs 1:9 interestingly states that the acquisition of wisdom is likened to a crown or a gold medal. Wisdom is also characterized as a good woman in verse 20. To further support this fact, wisdom is depicted as she. For making scripture palatable to the sporting culture, the aforementioned scripture readily came to mind in determining how to communicate Dominica's first Olympic historic feat. The world was stunned at the determination of our daughter of the soil Olympic champion, Thea Lafond, as she pushed through and shattered the glass ceilings around her athletic career. In other words, Thea overcame the barriers set to prevent access to her advancement, thus accentuating against all odds the ancient adage, "The heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling deep into the night." Close quotes. Synonymous with Matthew chapter 25, when the bridegroom called at midnight. Like one of the five wise virgins, Thea executed the charge with her lamp full to capacity and extra fuel for the challenge ahead. Thea sprinted, making history in 2016 at Rio, 2020 in Tokyo, and 2024 at Stade de France, Paris. For the benefit of those who are not privileged to prevent Thea's or to review Thea's Olympian profile, I feel obliged to assist. For your edification, open quotes, she became the first Maryland track and field alum to medal in the Olympics, the 10th gold medalist in Maryland history, and first top student athlete to win gold since 1988. She hit the personal best mark of 14.35 meters, 47 feet 1 inch, in the qualifying round. The result was also history for her Caribbean island nation as the country's first ever Olympic medalist or medal. She earned gold at Glasgow in 2024, becoming the first person from Dominica to win a World Championship gold medal. To accomplish this feat, Lafond set a then national record of 15.01 meter in the women's triple jump. She also competed at the Commonwealth Games, earning silver at Birmingham 2022 and bronze at Gold Coast 2018. She even made history as the first Dominican athlete to win a medal at the Commonwealth Games. As a multiple event athlete from 2011 to 2015, Thea was named Big Ten Field Athlete of the Year. Lafond set the highest ever women's triple jump score in the University of Maryland school history, which still stands today. Close quotes. Having earned multiple All American honors in her collegiate career, coupled with this Olympic gold medal, Thea represents Dominica phenomenally on the world stage with confidence. Although I am no Johnny-come-lately sports enthusiast who dare not hold a candle to that level of achievement, yet I muse on my sacrificial or past sacrificial participation in netball from age 8 at St. John's Primary up until age 38 with an Antiguan team in New York City. I can say it isn't easy. Thea has been given divine grace to pave the way, thereby making it more possible for every aspiring small island or third world athlete to smash their individual glass ceilings too. While the sun is shining brightly upon Thea, it is essential that other underprivileged youths be encouraged to build on that momentum in striving to secure systemic change to our society moving forward. May heaven help us all if we fail to follow through and allow her achievement to become an oddity or an exception. Proverbs 132 cautions that fools die because they refuse to follow wisdom. Discounting wisdom leads to the loss of wellness, inheritance, goals, careers, or successes. For naivety is not in a champion's DNA. But the application of Proverbs 133 can reverse the curse. Conspicuously etched in the annals of Dominica's history, the name Thea represents T for testament of tenacity in track and field triple jump, H for holder of the highest honor with 15.02 meters, 49 feet 3 inches, E for epitome of excellence in execution, A for acclaimed athlete achieving Olympic apex. Kudos to Thea's support system, especially her coach and husband. She is now inducted into the Hall of Fame, bringing recognition not only to herself and family, but to this gem beyond compare, lovely Dominica. Now that she has secured a place among the world's best, serves to prove that the Creator God is indeed on the throne. It is to be noted that promotion comes not from the east, west, north, or south, but from God. May the Lord be glorified in his house, which we are. For 1 Corinthians 2:9 declares, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. Close quotes. Beloved, there's no telling of the countless records that will be broken when men and women take their rightful place and Dominica decides to return to God again. Thanks again.
Yes, we have had it and heard it from Mrs. Vidal Valentine, very current to what is happening in Dominica, and I want to take the opportunity to thank Mrs. Vidal Valentine for the spiritual message this evening. I think she put some emphasis on wisdom. She said, never discount wisdom. And she linked that to those keeping God's commands. And she linked wisdom to good women. And hence, she made reference to Thea Laffer on her majestic achievements in the Olympics. And what a better way to say it. She gave what the T meant and the H. I didn't have time to record all of it, but I think, we will make much of that as the days go by. But I think she said T was testament of her tenacity. H was holding
of the highest echelons of success. He epitomized something, and she said that the E had to do with acclaimed athletic ability. You know, words to that extent, and what a good way to describe all of what Fear did for Dominica. So we, as the Concerned Citizens Movement, since this has come up and has been highlighted by Mrs. Vidal, we really want to give our own congratulations and support and extend our best wishes to Fear Lafort, to the Olympic Committee, to all those who have worked with her over time. And as Mrs. Valentine rightly said, these majestic achievements don't just come overnight. She brought us back to, the words of, men never slept, and they kept toiling deep in the night to describe all the hard work that Fear had to put in.
That's it.
Yeah.
While others were asleep.
Yeah, while others were asleep, she was toiling in the night. Yeah. And she's asking, especially the young people, to emulate Fear's achievement. She's encouraging others to emulate and to build on Fear's achievement. And we, as the Concerned Citizens Movement, we hope that this is the message for all Dominicans to toil in the night and to build on what Fear has done for Dominica. And she, last but not least, said that with all of this and with all the achievements and with the collective wisdom that we all can bring to bear, she hopes that Dominica can return to God again. What a good way to end it.
Brother Zed, we don't have Zah, who is our religious man on the team, but I'm sure you would have some comments to make with regards to the spiritual message here this evening. You're welcome, Brother Zed. Are you mute? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, my apology. You hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you loud and clear, Brother Zed.
Well, greetings, Brother Don. I haven't seen you in a minute, son. It's nice seeing you. Brother Washi, man, we paying for that radio time, man. Man, have to make it on time in the radio station, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we conscious of that, but the traffic was really tight coming down to the studio.
Twice a month, bro. Twice a month we have. Yeah, let's take people's business a little more seriously, But I think the embodiment of Theo is really the premise of faith, where it is really our vessels have to embody the essence of the aesthetic of God if we are God followers, and so if you embody the aesthetic of that excellence that you follow or you believe in, I think all will be well. And so that is the lesson I think we can take from that, even extrapolating beyond Thea. In that we ourselves individually, on our own little capacities, whether athletic, intellectual, farming, whatever it is, we have to embody and treat our being as an embodiment of that excellence, not necessarily perfection, because that is a very troublesome capacity, but excellence. I think if we embody excellence in our thoughts, in our consciousness, in our minds, and in our actions, then what is around us will transform. So if we embody that same Theo excellence, the others around us will feel it. It will become a sort of a collective sort of expression that expresses, and then the country by extension can embody that sort of excellence. So I think it's an awesome a message, and I think as a Christian nation, I think it's even more awesome because we really have to embody our faith. We have to become a vessel of our faith. We have to become a vessel of what we want to express, of what we want to see happen, of what we want to see. So if we want to see electoral reform, we have to embody electoral reform. If we want to see a better governance, we have to embody a better governance. And in embodying those things, we do the things that are necessary for us to arrive at that aesthetic.
Yes, very good point. Very good comment, Brother Zed. I personally believe, and a lot has been said about where we are as a country, where we are as a small island state. But I think you're right on point. We need to raise the bar in Dominica in several areas of disciplines. And I think that embodiment that you're suggesting in terms of excellence has to be in all sphere of life in Dominica. We need to raise the standard of excellence. Too many times we just agree with what I may refer to as being mediocre. We need to raise the standard. We need to raise the bar. We need to get to the point of best practice and excellence at the highest point towards 100% mark. And if we can do that in agriculture, as you're suggesting, in sports, in governance, in electoral reform, in politics generally, if we can do that in sports and in all the activities where the youth especially have to relate with, I think we may be better off as an independent nation in the future. So I think you have made a very good comment, and as emanating from the spiritual message by Mrs. Valentine. So thank you, Zed. But we have to move on in the program. We have more areas to discuss. So thank you very much for that comment. Yes, so we are moving on, and Brother Don is there, and he would like to make some opening comments. So we want to open the mic to Brother Don Corriett, a man of, immense experience, and we are very glad to have him as part of the discussion here tonight.
Yeah, good night, everybody in Radio Land, those listening by the social media platforms. It's a pleasure to be here with Concerned Citizens Movement. I have been invited more than once, but my schedule and their schedule have not really meshed. And today, the opportunity as a reason for me to join the prestigious group of the Citizens Movement. In light of what has been said, both by our spiritual leader, by Zed, and you, Mr. Coffee, I just want to read this quote, that says, "Nothing paralyzes our lives like the attitude that things can never change. If we see only problems, we will be defeated. But if we see the possibilities in the problems, we have victory." And that's what it is. We have issues in Dominica. We have problems in Dominica. But if we just sit back and just accept, then we'll be defeated. We need to do something about it. There are a lot of laughers around the country, Washburn. When I drive around the country, I see guys swimming in the ocean, little guys in the rivers, practicing diving, swimming, backpedaling, how you say it. And therefore, if we can find the amenities and the facilities to harness that raw talent, we're going to have plenty more laughers. It's a shame that after 24 years, we don't have a track and field. And we can't even host a character games, It's not something we are proud of. But if we just see that as a problem and give up, we'll be defeated. We have to see opportunities and how we can change for the better. And one of the things that we can do to change, as you rightly said, is to get the electoral process going, get it on a positive footing, get it on a level playing field, get it free and fair, and the best team wins, you know? Yeah, so that's my little 2 cents on what was said as your opening remarks. But it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the program.
Thank you, Brother Don. And Brother Zed, I suppose you may have some comments you would like to make generally with regards to the other aspects of it.
Yeah, I think what I would like to keep that trajectory of the embodiment that the spiritual message said. I think why I want to is we used to be a people, you know, who didn't wait on government that much, you know. We used to be a people who didn't depend on government that much. We used to be a people that our communities were tight knit. Our you know, our gatherings were, you know, we did things for ourselves. You know, we did things for ourselves. Our clubs made things happen in their neighborhood. We had this sort of Kudma mentality. It was more prevalent in our society. I think we've lost we've lost our value by becoming dependent so much on the governmental process of doing things. And that has led us to a disadvantageous position in regards to governance. It has made us disadvantaged in that we by losing that sense of independence of doing. I think we've always done for self, you know, don't get me wrong. I think we've always done for self. But the doing of self is not really the embodiment of the extension of the whole aesthetic of what we are as a nation of faith, a people who believe in God and those things. It has to be a collective. And we've lost that sense of collective. And because we've lost that sense of collective, it's become easier to manipulate us. It's become easier to divide us. It's become easier for us to look at, well, I can benefit, but not what we as a community can benefit from. And so I think what this juncture and this whole sport and this moment can do for us is maybe this is a problem that we can solve ourselves. Maybe this is a problem we can solve ourselves. Maybe you might have to start taking our cutlasses and go and chop our fields so our kids can play. You know, maybe we might have to in the community say today is cleaning that field day, like here with the government. You know, our kids don't have somewhere to play. We have a whole bunch of cars parked up in this thing and we have garbage, and let us as a community decide, you know what, we're going to create a playing space for our kids. You know, so I think if we start doing these, if we start coming back to that collective of doing for self and doing for community by extension, it will empower us in a way where when we call people to stand up, there won't be so much resistance to stand up because we will already be in the mindset of standing up. You understand? So I think those little things, those little community things, as simple as they are, I think we need to utilize them more to achieve that bigger picture. I think that bigger picture is becoming difficult because we are disconnected. And the best place that connectedness can start is at the community level. At the community level. Cross those divides of polarization of politics and having community. Let us do things as a community again. Let us do those things that we can solve. We can't solve everything, but let us do those things that we can solve as a community. It will create that reconnection of communication. It will no longer be Labor Right and UWPI. It will be, boy, it will be St. Joe. It will be Corley Ho. It will be Maho. I think when we come back to that, then it becomes harder for the politicians to infuse that division, you know, which is keeping us from achieving what we want. So I'm just saying, while all these things are in the front, I think we have to go from back to front to solve our problem. We have to start at community level.
Yes, Brother Zed, I think well said again. You advocating that value and that spirit of self-reliance And yes, we need to rekindle that kind of spirit in our communities. As you said, that kind of spirit used to exist naturally as part of our culture in the Kulme system that we inherited from our foreparents. But we seem to be deviating from that and putting our dependency on ministers, on government, and so forth. And that has brought about a whole new value system as regards to our community development approaches. One point I want to address, as you mentioned that, it brings that to mind. To achieve that kind of self-reliance and community involvement on a sustainable and ongoing basis, certain institutional frameworks were actually put in place, especially during the time of the pre-independent Labour Party. And I talk about um, I'm talking about institutions like the cooperatives, bringing farmers and artisans and so on, people of that nature together. I was part of that movement. That has been the fundamental aspect of my development paradigm. The village councils, and all the other community, the sports associations, the youth groups, and so on. A lot of talent and resource exists within these groupings that would have transformed themselves in terms of community development and so on. But what we have seen happening in the public sector approach to all of that is that not much investment of funds is being put into those institutions that were built so as to develop that self-reliance and that kind of thing. And I think that has eroded in one way the value system that we should have built around those things. So I think it's a good point. I think we need to talk more about these institutions and how they can continue to contribute to social and economic development in Dominica, and how we can bring much more of, especially the young folks, within those kind of setup. Because being involved in village councils, in community council development initiatives, in civil society organizations, being involved in cooperatives and so forth, actually provide a platform for that kind of approach and that kind of development approach. So these are things we have to revisit so that we can bring about a more all-round development system or approach in Dominica. But Don wants to contribute to that, and I am sure where we have to do with even disaster preparedness, and so within all of that, there is room for that kind of self-reliance approach to build the kind of resilience we would like to see built in the Dominican.
Yeah, just to support your point, right? Washby. I can call you Washby, right?
Yes, of course.
When we were growing up, we had so many clubs, football clubs and sports clubs that brought a camaraderie across religious and political lines. I think what we have seen for years is a polarization of our people in red and green and blue, and that has been to the detriment of what Zed is talking about. I mean, Bob Marley sang "Liberate your minds from mental slavery," which seem to be going back into that mindset of mental slavery and dependency. And if it is not the politician, then who? And we have to try to get away from that. One of the strategies I have articulated in the past is for us to engage at the grassroots level. I mean, from the ground up. We cannot stay in a radio station we cannot stay in formal settings and expect for us to institute that change. We have to go on the ground. We have to get the youth and the younger ones involved in debates, in panel discussions, across the board, across disciplines. Make them express themselves. For example, I was at our family business, and there were some young guys around, and I says, what do you guys think about the budget? And they asked me, Don, what are you talking about? Budget? What is a budget? These guys are not listening. They're not. So we have to take it to them, dissect it, make it known to them what is in their interest, what is not in their interest. Same with electoral reform. Boy, not voting, it doesn't matter if I vote, it doesn't make a difference. So we have to change that kind. And where we have to go with that is at the grassroots. You know, I was so elated when the UW engaged the college. Remember that famous quote? I like it, I like it, I love it, or something like that. Aaron and Joshua Francis. I think the party should have continued the debates, right, at that level and even at the community level to engage the youth in subject matters, the international airport, disaster management, in crime, in justice, every subject area we can find. And invite the Labour Party or invite the Freedom Party. If they don't wish to come, they don't turn up, that's their prerogative. But you engage the youth, you make a seat available to them, and we know sometimes they don't show up. That is their choice. But after a while, the youth and the people will see through. I'll say, hey, this guy's not interested in us. And that is an angle, that is a strategy I think I want to recommend to the movement. Yeah.
Good points, Don. Good points. Well,
You see, I'm going. Don't remember back in our day, we nobody had to mobilize students. We mobilized. You know, I remember when we used to are you guys hearing me?
SME was an institution by itself. You know, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had that dynamism among us that nobody could
Yeah,
come and us, you know. Yeah.
but we spread it to the other schools, to those same things that you talked about. We used to have inter-school, you know, competitions. We used to have debates. We used to have, and by the time all of it came together, we had a national sort of momentum of students. We could challenge anything in the country we wanted to, you know, anything if it was our desire. You understand? And so, what I want to go back to where you're talking about these things that we're talking about, but the conversation should not start politically. Because you see, as you said, they are disconnected politically. So let us connect them on the things that matter to them and then have the political conversation. The political conversation has to be the end game. You understand? It has to be the end game because they are not there. But if we come together and we cut in the field for them to play their ball, if we put in our hands together and decide, well, boy, it's tariffs we have to put so they can have a basketball court, then when those things start happening, we start drinking water together. It's simple, you know. All of a sudden they realize, yo, it's us here. It's not the us and them no more. It's us.
Well,
You see, and then we can have those. We can have. And I mean, it's classic. It's classic philosophy, you know, of community development. Though. It's not rocket science, you know. It always works. If you get involved in things that matter to the youth, they will deal back to you on that one-to-one. They will reciprocate. But you cannot be talking to them like you're talking down to them or you're talking from a distance to them. They're not in that. You have to be with them, making them feel that compatibility of us. And they will get involved. They will become part of the struggle, you know. And one of the areas I think, Washburn, that we need to talk about is food. I think, and the whole idea of cooperatives. You see Dominica right now, there's a sort of a standard of living in Dominica that is really, it's rough. And it's not going to get easier because food globally is expensive and it's going to get more expensive. It's not going to get cheaper. which means our people are going to get living in more poverty, poor nutrition. I think we have to address the aspect of food again outside of government. We have to look at food as a community commodity. We have land. There is no reason for us to be stressing so much about from our pockets of buying foreign food in Dominica. And we really have to have that conversation on a serious level. The same way we have credit unions, we have to return to a sort of a cooperative mentality of growing food in our communities. So everybody can eat balanced food, not just you have your little tomato and thing. Real food. Because where we're heading as a country on this food issue and this energy issue, we're going to be permanently broke in Dominica if we do not take stock and really look at ourselves as a collective and realize we have all the things that we need to be living and eating healthily. But it's going to be up to us to take ourselves back to that land. We must take ourselves back to that land. Not necessarily because you want to farm, but because it is too expensive for you to eat in Dominica if it's foreign food you're going to live off. And so I think that can help us to bring us back again even closer as a community, make us even more empowered. Then we can demand land from the government. We won't beg them. There's a difference between demanding and begging. Right now we are begging because we are disunited. But if we empower this community collective, we won't be begging anymore. The village council must deliver. The government must deliver. When we come as a collective, we must get electoral reform. When we come as a collective, we must get answers to our questions. So I think the aspect of food and energy and where that is, that the desperation it is creating in the country, I think we mustn't miss that. I think it's a good boat, a good vehicle that we can use to begin bringing us back together as a united country.
Okay, we take your point. We will have more to say on that, but we have to involve our listeners, and I'm sure some of them would have comments they would like to make. So the numbers 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, and 616-4257. WhatsApp 616-213-0. And if you're calling us from the overseas line, 305-432-9624 or 347-342-7421. I think these are the numbers. So if you care to call us, give us a call and let us know what are your thoughts out there. Let's call up Patriot Voices on queue. Good evening. Hello.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Thanks for calling.
Good. Let me tell you something. With all the plans people are planning here, what happened to Dominica is that people are turned their back on God. People are deep in politics. People are deep in fuel. People are deep in everything. Everybody has everybody chasing after the wind. But the whole thing in days gone by, no matter what everybody is spiritually. Sometimes they will have a fear. People go to the fear. They have things to plan. Young people was in church and they were there. But then as time go by, people just send politics come in there and it just take over everything. And people forget God. Sometimes people go to church when you see things, you funeral, you see them lift up their hands, they dance. They do all kind of things they want to bring down heaven. But as soon as they leave the place, they go out. That's a different cup of kettle of fish. You understand? So, because the Bible said that when man planned, he got God. You understand? The plans of man, God brings it to nothing. If you watch in Psalm 127, say, unless the builder build a house, you labor with it, let the watchman watch the city, their watches in vain. So what will happen to them there? When you build in anything and God is left out of that, that is it. There should have people like we see, like on a Thursday night. Sometimes the lady comes, she prays. Somebody should pray, open it in prayer, and you know that. But every time we speak, God, let us go and do this. We're going to hear. Without God in anything, it will not work. And things, and then let me tell you, it's a better things will be better because it said in the Bible, 2 Timothy chapter 4 says, in the last days prayer, and he itemized everything that's going to happen. So the best thing we do is to lean on God, call on God, talk, and call on God, pray, and keep on moving, and then whatever you have to plan after that, you come after that. You understand? But God, people have left, turn their back on God. So it's just like Hosea says, chapter 3. That
Yeah, thanks.
he has left God. So he's calling God to come back home. When they come back home, then God will come in and do what he has to do. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your comment. Yeah, we are a nation under God. Our constitution says that, and we have to do things guided by His inspiration. But the politics have always been there. It's maybe just the type of politics now. Yes, we're taking another call. Yes, caller, good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night, gentlemen. I noticed you have been talking about electoral reform for a little while. Okay? What I would really like to find out. Are you with me? Hello?
Yeah, we're following you. Make your point quickly.
Yeah. What I would like to find out. What is your practical recommendation to ensure that we get the electoral laws passed in Dominica in a reasonable time? The reason why I'm asking that question, we have been at it for a very long time. The people like this program.
Chief, make your point quickly now. You're going around the bush wasting our good time on the radio, man. Make your point and get out of the radio.
If you don't want me to make a point.
No, but you're asking a question, and in the middle of asking the question, you want to think, come on, man, don't waste our time here.
No, I'm asking a question to see how you can get a practical solution.
I think what I should say is that I believe you know what is the practical solution that needs to be done, and let's move on.
Okay, one of the reasons why we have the problem is we need to reason out with people who we do not agree with. If somebody call and you think we have a different opinion with you, you should be able.
Yes, we are expecting your calls. That caller continues to want to waste our time. I don't have that time. Yes, caller, you're on. Patriot Voice is on queue.
Going back to the community movements and grassroots movements, Dominica was known to be one of the leading countries, leading islands in the Caribbean, if not the world, when it comes to cultural activity. And we used to have, for example, a lot of cultural competitions around the country in the 70s, 80s, mid-90s, where we had eliminations, preliminary, semi-finals, and finals, cultural activities, culminating in the gardens, for example, or in Windsor Park, where you had a grand cultural activity. For the past few years, this has been dwindling out, There's no participation from the grassroots as such. You have you have stalwarts that are trying to keep it alive. So there is an opportunity also for us to go into that area to build community, to build back culture. With or without, as Zed said, with or without government. You go in there, you get the youth involved, you get talent to search. You can do a talent search among the youth in various communities and build back that pride, that cultural heritage we have, because we have lost it. This coming National Day activity, I'm sure you're going to hear finalists from the East, North. There's no competition leading up to the sector finals, the zone finals, because there's a dismantling or disinterest or whatever you want to call it of attention to those areas, of attractiveness to those areas. And we there's an opportunity, as Zed is saying, to build that using our influence. And similarly in sport, similarly in literature, in competitive sport, and in debates. I believe in debates. I really believe You bring the various topics we're talking about there, bring it to the communities, get involvement, get participation, even in the electoral reform that the caller just called. What are the practical? I mean, all around the Caribbean, we see the practicality. We see how it is done. Why is Dominica? So we bring that out to the youth. Let them tell us why. Let them go and research Barbados electoral process, Antigua electoral process, compare it with Dominica, and what is tying us up. You understand? So you bring that out to the youth, and you bring that out to the communities. Let's get the discussion going.
You are so correct, Don. I recall in my days at the St. Alphonsus Youth Group, we used to have on a monthly basis a talent show at the Goodwill Parish Hall. Every month, the last Sunday in every month, we used to have a talent show, and all the young people in Goodwill, whether it was poetry, whether it was singing, calypso.
And let me interrupt you there. It didn't. No politician was involved.
Oh, no, not at all. That was strictly done by the young. Yeah, that is the point we are making.
You say no politician was involved.
Yeah. We used to call it the kiddie show.
The kiddie show.
The kiddies talent show.
I used to be a part of a scout troop.
Yeah.
I used to be a kid boxer. I used to go around boxing with big six, Algie Charter, St. Joseph, Laplin, all about.
In fact, that is why he got a grounding to do some MCing, being able in the St. Alphonsus Youth Group to MC some of those youth talent shows. You know, and even from the standpoint of the panel discussion, you see, we have had all these issues like electoral reform and other issues in society. But how many youth groups out there? How many community organizations have organized local panel discussions in their communities without the influence of any politician?
Yep.
And invite different persons whom they feel can give some information on the topic, whether on this side, on that side, or on the other side. I mean, these are the kind of things we're talking about. Even in terms of cooperatives, these are institutions based on democratic principles, and there is no race and creed and the color of your skin, whether you these institutions transcend those areas of discrimination. So it's an opportunity of all views to contend, of people of all different types to come in and be able to work on some common economic or social issues. But if everything is left to a party or to a politician, we as the citizens, we are just giving our soul to these parties and to these politicians. It's time we take our destiny in our control.
We become very polarized.
You understand?
Everything you see it in red or you see it in
blue. So that's where we have deviated a lot in terms of our values, in terms of what some of these institutions bring to bear on society on a whole. And I'm glad I've been part of the process. But the young people need to hear us, they need to listen, and they need to take the baton from us and run with it. Yes, Brother Zed.
Listen, Brother Shelly and Trilogy, bro. They just showed us, they showed us, we have an issue of lyrics and we think our youth need to raise their standards. And the two brothers said, yo, let's do something about it. And you see the excitement in these kids. You see how they, you know what I mean? And let's just do something about it. No government, no parliamentarian, no nothing. Let's just do something about it. And we talk a lot about the Jamaican success story and a lot of things from culture and all these things. And you know what is fundamentally common in all those things? You see those things that we lost, those regular Friday night sessions and those weekend and those bi-monthly and bi-weekly sessions? That is what is fundamentally entrenched in Jamaican society. That is their recipe. When you have those kinds of recipes, people are in a steady state of competition, and that is necessary for a country to develop. So that competition, it forces them people to excellence. They competing all the time, all the time. So we need to come back to that. We need to come back to that. But I want to touch on what the sister talked about the nation and leaving God and not keeping God and having turned our back on God. I don't agree with her. I
Don't
don't
make it
think
a
Dominica
religious
is
discussion anyway.
no, no, no,
Don't
no,
make it
no,
a
no, my
religious
brother. Come on,
discussion.
come on. That's that, man. That's it. That's part of the. That I'm not. Come on. Listen. You understand? We have not turned our back on God. Dominica is more God than Dominica is more God, more godly. I think what we have done is we have stopped using the inspiration of God. We are more godly, but we are more in a godly kind of way of depending on God to do our things for us instead of how we used to do, where we were godly, but we use the inspiration of God to do what we have to do. I think that's what Dominica has lost. It hasn't turned its back on God, but it has become less utilizing God as inspiration for betterment of country. I think that's the mistake.
Yes.
So I just want to tell her it's not lack of prayer. We pray more, we worship more. Even with our CO, there's nothing wrong with our CO. We've been COing since we start, and we still go to church, we still pray. It's not nothing with that. It's not no Satan thing. I think what it is, we have lost the utilization of God as a tool, an inspiration for us to do what we have to do as a nation. If you want to plant the food, it's good things you're doing. If you want to take care of your neighbor, it's godly things you're doing. If you take care of the sick, it's godly things you're doing. If you stop hating your neighbor, it's godly things you're doing. So we are still more godly, but we're not applying God in our life as a nation. I think that is what it is. So I just wanted to make that distinction to her and this whole idea of the argument that she was making.
Yeah, and I believe tied in with that, if we can adopt good family approaches, I think we will be well on our way. We need to solidify the family structure so that we can give the basic grounding that can lead our inspiration to better things to come. I thought we were getting a caller here. Did I see a caller? No. Yes, so Don, I think you wanted to make some points with regards to disaster preparedness. I know we may have
Yeah.
something out there. We are in this season, and
Yes.
yes, I think we're getting a call. Yes, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Corey. Good day, boys.
Good evening.
Yes,
Yeah.
glad to have you, Blue. How are you?
Good evening, Blue.
I'm doing fine.
Okay, fine. Good to
We
know.
are in that problem in Dominica because we know exactly what our cause is. We have a government right now in office, and because of the way they have the people in the country depending on them. When you build apartments to give people to live in, you spend millions of dollars on apartments and give it to people to live in for free. And telling the people others outside there, they're uncoming. That's what the people thinking. But if I stay there, I will get. Right? And the young people now following that same step of the adults. Sometimes their mother needs something. They want to find a government minister to go to. So it seems that government come into office, we in that predicament we are in. When we should be having Petla here before, how beautiful that would look with only the fishermen and the people around and the priests that would be doing their service. No, all ministers in government now have something to do with them fish. Every fish it has a minister them have to call. So we have serious problem in that country. And everybody's thinking about fear. The system we should prepare for the young lady they send to that know they know they said that young lady they know she was going to participate in the Olympics. They prepared their people. They did. Because they had big celebration people in big screens all about the place. Waiting for their goal. Win or lose, they were with her. But here, maybe 95% of Dominicans And living in Dominica didn't know shit about what was taking place in France or Paris. And we had a Dominican there. We had some Dominicans there. Nobody knew. Now everybody fear. Mr. Loblack begged. We've run a land there. The Olympic Committee to set up shop, build boards, that the people could know we are somebody participating in. No, that never happened. Now I see people crying when the flag and the national anthem of Dominica was being sang. We have our own self-worst enemy because I would say greed that have us. Bye-bye.
Yes, well, this year we need to get where our values were, you know. We have to get back there, you know. But good point, Blue, good point.
Blue gone already?
Take that caller. Next caller. Good night.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, nice to have you.
Yes, Mr. Coffee and your other panel.
Yes, Mr. Don Corrier and Mr. Zed.
It's a good program. I always listen, but I don't always call, but I always listen. I want to tell you, sometimes you see they talk on the radio, and sometimes their talk are misleading. Because if you want to tell us that we in Dominica are in God business, that's a lie. Because if he wants to say that, he has to go back to his Bible. Go back and read the Bible. You cannot be doing wrong thing and for you to say you're on God business. No. God doesn't go in dirty business. He's a clean God. He's a loving God. He's a righteous God. You cannot be indulging in evil and then try to tell me you're in God business at no time. So sometimes when you see they talk, they have to know what they say because the young people are listening. Do not mislead the young people.
No, what Mr. I cannot. Mr. Z is there to speak for himself, but Mr. Z was saying that he still think we are a nation guided by the inspiration of God. But he's just saying that we need to use that inspiration to do what is necessary to be done. So you may have gotten it a little slightly wrong. I don't think Mr. Z was trying to categorize anybody in any special way. But Mr. Z can always defend himself. Mr. Z, do you have any comments to make?
I want to go back to Blue. I hear Blue and I hear Blue all the time, you know, and I love her spirit and I'm glad that she, you know, but you see, Blue points to the problem all the time. And that's what we're trying to do there now, and what we need to keep trying to do is to the things that we're talking about is how we can combat these things. You see, because we know the problem already, Blue. We know the problem, you know, and I know it's frustrating. I know you in it, and I get you. But we know the problem already, and we've spent so much time pointing out the problem. What we're trying to do right now is to cultivate unique patterns of behavior and processes that can help us to fight the problem, because pointing out the problem is not solving the problem. So I hear you clearly, you know, my sister, and I love your spirit and your energy, but I want you to see what it is that why we're trying to shift the conversation. That's why we're trying to talk about the community approaches. That's why we're trying to talk about the collective. That's why we're trying to find those pathways that we can mute this thing, because we talking about it is not muting it.
Yeah, because if we just take the housing situation as you mentioned that, because I wanted to make the point. I wanted to tell her, well, yes, these problems exist, and this is why we have to go to the points that we were raising about trying to change the value system. Because in the housing situation, there is an option that exists for the people occupying the houses. Cannot the people form a small cooperative housing program to take away the onus on government so that the people who own the community can provide solutions and policies and recommendations to the maintenance of the housing and even ensuring that maybe eventually those houses can become their individual ownership. All of this can happen within a cooperative housing system approach. You know,
And even
years ago, Zed, when I was in the cooperative movement, I could recall Mr. John Milton John Baptist was the commissioner of cooperatives, and we did try to host a program on housing, developing housing cooperative concepts in Dominica. But a call is coming in, and we'll take that call. Yes, caller. Good night.
Coffee, we know the solution to that problem we facing. Doesn't matter how we try to sugarcoat it and do things, maybe saying we can do this and we can do that. It's to get the damn government out of office, and then we can now do what we're supposed to do. But going and say we're going to do that, we're going to do this.
But Blue,
they're like, we put in the street.
All right.
we have
That is one.
let us engage you. Let us engage you. Let us engage you. Let us
That
engage
is
you.
one
Let us engage
approach,
you.
but
Let us engage you.
they can exist side by side, you know. But
Blue,
yeah,
we have been trying to support the government.
Mr. Corriat wants to make a point on that.
Yeah, what I think we
must engage here, you know.
the shortcoming of the housing program, right? But what we have to do now is mobilize so that we don't make the same mistakes again. For example, what you're saying there are like apartment buildings in rural areas, in the country areas. There was an opportunity, I'm sure, under Pierre Charles, the community cooperative conscious guy, would have gotten fellas in the in the country areas, in rural areas, to identify land suitable for housing, build small family houses, allocate government lands under a cooperative system. So if it's suitable for husbandry, animal farming, crops, whatever. So we address what Lloyd is saying about our food security. You have that as a cooperative, and you sustain it. So greenhouses, aqua industry, yeah, and you do a cooperative with a housing plan. Allocate government lands under a cooperative and allow the families to farm. So they have their individual unit and they have land as a cooperative to produce food. Right? You retrofit the houses with renewable energy, solar panels, like in Barbados, like in Antigua. So you don't depend on fossil fuel. And you could have built industry by just doing that. You chock-a-block people in apartments, they don't have no farming lands around them. You put them where the neighbor in this apartment have to listen to loud music, have got their independence. It's a melee-melage. There's no renewable energy. There's no solar panel. So there's no energy sustaining apparatus in those apartments. So you have lost the boat. You have missed the boat completely. What we need going forward, that we do not allow that system to replicate that mistake. And we have, by doing that, we have to mobilize the people now to tell them, look, yeah, you want to build us houses, but we don't want that type of house. We want a cooperative type house where you can adjust our issues, you can address our land issues, you can address our food security issues. And I think we
Well,
can
you
do it.
see, you see, the fundamental mistake was from the very beginning. The people were not approached to find out their needs. The people were given something. But if the people
What I'm saying,
were asked,
yeah, that's a mistake.
then the people would have provided alternatives to that kind of housing approach, and we would probably have a different dispensation in terms of the type of housing settlements that we would have established, taking into consideration environment, food security, you know, and all that kind of thing.
Playing facilities, you know.
And that kind of thing. So you would have a more wholesome, a more integrated kind of development program.
Yep.
But what we see is that the politicians just come and say, well, that is what I given you. You have no say. And then even when they give it to you, you still have no say in terms of the articulation or the formulation or the policies that going to guide the ownership of those housing. Everything is from as you say, up top down approach.
Yeah.
And it is always recommended. I always said in my academia, what I have been taught is development by the grassroots up.
Yeah.
The
So what I'm saying is that we identify that as let's say not the problem, the mistake, the misguided, whatever.
Exactly.
No, what we have to do is take that down to the community and have a discussion around that, and let's get the pro and cons from what is being proposed, what has been done, and get a mix and let's see if we can guide the mindset to what we're trying to do. Cooperative movement mixed with food security, with the inclusion of sports and wholesome development, and see if we can sell that as a product. You understand? And then we can see now if we can cultivate that paradigm shift from the dependency on politician or the government, whichever government is there, whether it's this one or next one, and shift the people's mindset away from being trapped in that political quagmire.
Precisely. Yes,
you see when Blue Blue said, why giving the people house free for millions? You see, when you are opposition, right? You mustn't just make an argument. You must sit down. You must think of the argument, see it spherically, and how you can utilize it to your advantage. To come and talk about the house and free for the people, they're becoming your enemy. You don't want to create enemies when you're an oppositional movement. You have to embrace these people and their free homes. What you have to do now is develop within them an empowerment to start talking about owning their home, giving them their certificate. You have to become their ally in the movement. And folks have not understood that. So we come at the people, free homes for people. No, that's not our business. How can we empower these people in these free homes? How can we turn them into allies? And a lot of times that is lost over these last set of years. The whole oppositional movement has not utilized the arguments that are laid before them in a manner that is advantageous to them. You see, you don't just make an argument. You have to think of the argument and how you can turn it to your advantage. And the advantage you want is to bring the people to your side. So don't go and diss them about owning free homes. Let us show we can move them into a collective to ensure that the government give them certificates for their home. You see? So on a lot of levels, the arguments we've been having, electoral reform, see electoral reform. One of the biggest things that these guys have been using against us is we're trying for people not to vote. Let us sit down and develop a comprehensive model that ensures everybody can vote as Dominicans and it is not disadvantageous to Dominicans at home. When we make, if we had come out of the block running, making that kind of argument, we kill Roosevelt wrong, because he couldn't come and use this argument that we're against Dominicans from voting. So I am saying what has been happening is we have been having reactionary models to this problem in Dominica, and it has been disadvantageous to us. And we have to be careful. Instead of just jumping on the radio and making an argument, these folks need to sit down among themselves and discuss the response. Discuss the response. Discuss the nuances and how we can shape that thing to our advantage. Before they come and talk on math, before they come and, you understand, it's all these little things.
The point
so that you become reactionary, you're not giving yourself an advantage in the argument.
Okay, Zed, your point is taken, but I want to give Don that opportunity on the disaster aspect and where we are, especially we are hearing that there is some bad disturbances in the Atlantic and we may be affected in another week or so.
So well, let me put a disclaimer. I'm not going to be talking on behalf of the Met Office.
No.
I am retired. former police officer. I carry many caps, but just my 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 thoughts as an independent national Dominican. Yeah, we have a large area of disturbed weather in the Atlantic that has the potential of developing further. Um, um, the track looks like it may pass north of us, but it's too early to tell. What we can do, and as I always say, what we have in our control is not the direction of the storm, where it goes, how it goes. What we have under our control is our readiness and our preparedness. So whether it passes north or east or west, we better be prepared. And we have seen the beginning of the season as predicted by the National Oceanic and Administrative Body in the United States that this year's hurricane season is way above average. All right, it's going to be a very active hurricane season, and we have seen the tropical storms and tropical waves that gone through our area, general area, and we have seen the catastrophic damage that was caused by Hurricane Beryl to Grenada and Grenadines and St. Vincent. And that's early in the season. So as we go deeper into August and September, we are likely to see more severe weather systems, whether it be tropical storms or hurricanes. So we need to be prepared. The system in the Atlantic, as I said, it's worth keeping our eye on, paying attention to that. Listen to your Met Office. I think Marshall and the other guys at the Met Office are doing a fantastic job. And also the ODM, you listen to their advisories. So that is my 2 cents on that. We are very vulnerable. I mean, Dominica is one of the most vulnerable islands or in the region, in the hemisphere. We have volcanoes. We're vulnerable to volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and hurricanes is a phenomena that happens every year. As we're talking about God and man and stuff, we can postpone Christmas, we can shift Christmas, we can shift Carnival, we can shift Creole Festival. But the hurricane season, man can't shift it. It's set. It's one of the phenomena of nature that spans from, and hurricanes don't take holidays. So just be prepared and do what you have to do for the continuation of the season. We have enough experience. We have had Tropical Storm Erika, for example, in 2015, Tropical Maria in 2017. Beryl passed south of us, but look at the collateral damage it did to Dominica. So we need to take cognizance.
So what are some of the critical areas you believe that needs to be urgently attended to at this point in time to improve our resilience, just in case if we may have?
Well, resilience is a word that is being bounced about. If your people do not understand what resilience means, then you can't be resilient. So resilience is a word being bounced about, and it normally comes out after the fact. You understand? So if I could use a comparison, to be resilient from the flu, what do you have to do? You have to do your exercises, take your vitamins, make sure you sleep properly, take your sea bath, and do that. So when the flu virus comes around, your body can be resilient in a certain manner. So resilience is before, during, and after. But we play resilience is after we get hit, and we're trying to rebound. We're saying we're resilient. Resilience is a process prior to, during, and after. And therefore, I say that to say that we have to follow the programs of the ODM and the Met Office. Make sure our buildings are safe. Make sure you have a identified place in your house if you're going to stay there that is strong enough to guarantee, well, not guarantee, but to ensure your safety. Make sure you know where your shelters are. Know your route to your shelter, and the route to the shelter is not necessarily the shortest route. So make sure the route is safe. Make sure you have your dry goods. That is standard procedure. We have been saying that for over 50 years. So nobody has to tell us that again, I hope. So basically, I know the program is not about hurricanes and disasters, but know your vulnerabilities, know your risk. My risk in Goodwill mightn't be your risk in Lubia or in Sansovia. So examine your hazards around your area, fallen rocks, overhanging cliffs. Become cognizant of your environment and build your resilience around that. Yeah.
Thank you, Don. We couldn't have you here and don't try to get something of that experience that you have, especially given the period of time we are in at this point in time. Yes, we want to thank you very much for that. And we have program. We still have 10 minutes, so we are asking the callers out there if you have any burning comments that you would like to make. We spoke about the electoral reform. We spoke about the value system and how we can rekindle the self-reliance efforts that we knew about in the past. So we talk about all of this. So if you have any take on some of those issues, we welcome your comments. Brother Zed, any comments from you? Any additional comments from you at this time?
Yeah, well, we've had this energy issue, that is really crippling the country and really being stressful to our citizens. The cost of energy, the cost of water. I think we talked at the beginning of the show about how we can expand the conversation to get the people mobilized. And when I said we have to come from the back to go to the front, so I think the fact that we have not spent time with the people on this whole energy and water and its cost and where it's heading and how it's really deflating us as a people and really making life really stressful for Dominicans. I don't think we have I don't think we have exploited these conditions enough in the dialogue generally moving forward and realize how these dialogues are pathway to empowering the citizens to act on these other things that we want them to act. I mean, the cost of energy in Dominica is crazy. It's crazy. Our government just bought, paid majority share in Domlec, brother. And here's the thing. The Prime Minister could have come and discussed a comprehensive strategy with us. We should have bought Domlec outright. Outright. We should have combined Domlec and Dowasco into one entity, one utility company, national utility company, based on a non-for-profit model. With that way, we could have managed the expenses of our people and made energy much more cheaper for them than what we did there. What we did there was just give the government a means to collect more taxes to spend our money arbitrarily. It's not so advantage that move that Roosevelt Carey made it with Domlec. If he had made a move that was advantageous to us, we would have found more money, did a better loan relationship, paid these people off, get the investor thing out of the company, and make us the shareholders, not shareholders because we're going to get money at the end of the year, but shareholders because we are going to benefit from less costly electricity. You understand? We could have, having full control of the company, we could have added a solar sector to the company. Most of our houses in Dominica are small houses, bro. A few panels. We could have like a panel rental relationship with our customers right now. We didn't leave China. We talk about China. The problem with China and Dominica is not China. The problem with China and Dominica is our Prime Minister. He does not discuss relationships with the Chinese that are advantageous to us. From the time we've been in China, we should have been pressing solar panels in Dominica. We should have been the regional director of solar panels for the Caribbean before our Prime Minister was thinking. You understand? So the cost of energy in Dominica, we could have muted that with a more comprehensive approach to energy. The water, look at how much water is wasted in Dominica, brother. And we have to pay these kind of high rates for water. A government that's thinking on a comprehensive level as one utility. We could have been selling our water and taking the cost to offset the cost of water for our people. And it wouldn't be costing anybody any stress. It wouldn't be raising us up our money. Man, I'm telling you, but this energy thing, bro, we have to address it because this thing is going to get higher and higher, and it's going to stress our people more and more. It's going to make them sick and sicker, and we have to deal with this thing, bro. We have to
Yeah.
deal with this thing. We need a better energy policy in the country, a more comprehensive understanding, and we need a water solution in the goddamn country. It's too long.
Yes, heard you said, of course, this issue of cost of utilities is, I think, very challenging to most persons at this point in time. Every time I go to pay my bills, you hear the murmuring and the dissatisfaction about bills. So this is a burning issue, and really, we need a more comprehensive, we need a better, more improved policy with regards to the utilities. I must say that I'm not expert, especially as the song said, in those matters. I want to caveat what I have to say on that. But at the same time, I believe the customers deserve better. I mean, I was listening to a program you had on the agency regulating electricity. They were on the radio with Matt earlier in the week. And I'm listening to them and I'm saying to myself, well, I thought that the regulator, the moral, the purpose of the, or the one of the goals of that institution would be to try to protect consumers. But here it was that these people were more making an argument for Domlec to increase prices because they kept on saying, oh, the shareholders haven't gotten a dividend since 2020. But when you ask who are these shareholders, the major shareholder is government. And when you add Social Security, which is a pseudo government service, they own for the majority 72% of the shares. So to talk about the shareholders as if it's thousands of ordinary people that looking to get dividends from Domlec, that is not so. That is not what the case is. And when I listen to their argument, everything boils down to the consumer to meet every cost of the utility company. And then I'm asking myself, after the hurricane, government get millions of dollars to help Dominica. Why is Domlec still saying that they had to get a loan of so many $1 million to reposition themselves following the hurricane? I thought some of that money that we got from friendly governments or even monies emanating from CBI would have gone to defray some of those costs so as not to allow the burden to fall on the ordinary consumers. So these are the concerns that I have, and I mean from talking to many persons, they seem to have similar concerns. And so your point on the utilities, I think Brother Zed is point on.
Yeah, and those of us who follow the the World Cup cricket would have seen the kind of retrofitting Zed is talking about. You see Kensington Oval, for example. The entire roof is retrofitted with solar panels. Our stadium haven't got one single solar panel on it. Yeah, and yet still we are associated with China, the largest producing solar country in the world. Building schools, health centers, apartments, not one solar field, not one solar farm. Segment the country, the West Coast is known for its dry areas, very hard sunlight on the West Coast. The east is wind, and the center of the island is water. So we could devise a plan for renewable or sustainable energy using our resource. But and I don't think we have lost the boat. We haven't lost the boat. is going forward, we take all the hard politics in that and we bring those subject matters to the people and let them see what the opportunities are, what the what the opportunity cost is, and then we can get the wave to push and remove the hard politics and get the citizenry, to push for a higher standard of transparency, accountability, and involvement in decision making in projects. We have a phrase saying people POPs, POP. To do any project, you need people because you're going to do it for people. But once you get the people, you have to get the people to buy in ownership, and then you have to be persistent with what you're going to be putting onto the people. For sustainability, POPs are easy acronym, and if you don't have that, you're guaranteed that you're going to have vai development like we have in.
Yeah, but you would expect that, just coming from a budget, that you would expect that these are the type of issues that you would want to see emanating from a discussion on the budget. But see, we have our value system. Our parliamentarians are in parliament talking about BB and grapefruit juice. BB and grapefruit juice. When that is their value system they're creating on the young people. BB and grapefruit juice, instead of talking about real development issues like we are discussing tonight.
I'm not realizing whoever said that, I think is the parliamentary representative. I'm not realizing what he's saying there is a bigger problem, as Lloyd is suggesting. You're not thinking outside your cab and your calaboose. You're not thinking outside your. To make a statement like that in Parliament, and then you have other ministers, the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Health, giggling, not realizing what she's saying, that we have a high consumption of alcohol among our people. And if you cannot get alcohol of a certain type or any type, that suggests to me, and that should suggest to the Ministry of Health and Social Services and Security, that you're going to have an increase in deviant behavior, you're going to have an increase in dysfunctional families, you have to have a low rate of productivity because people are going to be under the influence, your crime levels might increase, and your health system, you're going to have people with cardiac problems, kidney problems, hypertension. So making that statement in Parliament is a very... I was going to say something, but I will say it. It's not good for the radio. It's dotish, man. It's stupid.
Yeah. And when that is the level of competence and capacity that you have in your parliament, you ask yourself, what kind of parliament is this?
You're not thinking of what to say.
What is that parliament all about? But I will rest my comments here as far as that is concerned. Any comments on that, Brother Zed?
Yeah, well, the health issue. You know what is sad about the health issue, brother? Is we have the potential to be the healthiest people in the world. As a nation, Dominica has the potential to be the healthiest nation in the world. We have proper energy that we can live stressless. We have the right land and water that we can eat healthy and organic. We have all the things that you need for being healthy. And look at our numbers. Rising diabetes, rising high blood pressure, all types of non-communicable diseases. It's crazy, our numbers. And what we turn into, the pharmacy, no talk of nutrition, very little talk of nutrition. And most of these diseases can be solved through proper nutrition. That's why I tell you, one of those things moving forward is cooperative food production. Because if Dominicans do not take a serious look at cooperative food production, more and more people are going to go to bed hungry in Dominica. And it's sad. But that is where we're headed. Look at the geothermal thing, brother. We spent over $200 million in geothermal. You know what these guys did after they did all that? They go and they pump soft road.
We're taking a call.
Yeah.
Yes, good night. Right on cue. Hello, good night. Good night, you're on.
Good night, Mr. Washburn Coffee.
Yes, we have
My name
other
is
people here as
Victoria.
well. Yes. Okay. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
You talk about the parliament. The parliament has been reduced to a house of making and insignificant talk. This is the worst I've seen it, and I hope it don't get worse. Isn't this the same parliament where the finance minister gave a budget address in which part of it was to raise taxes on alcoholic drinks to reduce non-communicable diseases?
Yeah.
And then you have a parliamentary representative of that same government responding to that budget and talking about BB rum, the same rum they're going to raise the tax on. BB rum and grape produces the national drink. What does national drink have to do with parliament? So you see where our mindset and our thinking are. Huh?
Yes, sister, we following you.
I mean, this is totally ridiculous.
Yeah,
What kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
people we have in parliament, Diana?
It is.
These standards have been lowered. We settle for less. We in the gutter. My God.
Yeah, and this is why we said fear has taught us to raise the bar. We need excellence in all spheres, in all what we do.
Oh my God, I cannot understand this. The health sector is affected by this. People's mental status is affected by this. I mean, people's family life affected by this, social life affected by this. Oh my goodness. Anyway, good night, guys.
Yeah.
Keep up the
Thanks for making your point.
Thank you.
You have an action.
Yes, caller. Good night. Okay. Yes, brother said you were making your point. You wanted to just complete your point. I think we have come to the end of our
Geothermal issue. The geothermal issue.
Your final comment. Yeah.
Yes, same energy thing, the geothermal issue. We spent $200+ million on geothermal. Then after we spend that money, what do? We go and we give an Israeli company, we go and find another $100 million for them in soft loans that Dominicans have to pay back. Give it to them to come and run our energy company in the geothermal, and we have to now go and pay rates to them to get energy. It doesn't make sense. These men just come there, let's get a free ride, just like these guys with the investment for our passport. We do not get value for anything in Dominica. We're just giving away everything to foreigners, and we're not getting value as Dominicans for it. And I'm telling the oppositional forces, bro. I know man saying Z, come down. I get all you, I come in, but we have to reshape the argument. We have to reshape the argument. We have to think wisely when we argue in this government. We have to use those bread and butter issues we have to use these bread and butter issues to mobilize the people that we want to act politically. Instead of trying to mobilize them politically to act, we have to use the bread and butter issues to mobilize them so that they can then act politically.
Yeah. This geothermal project, you see, I am not quite receptive about the in agreement about the type of transparency with the geothermal. I think there is a lot of hidden agenda there, and we see the amount of money that is going in there. It looks like a bottomless pit to me. And again, some control need to be exercised, where some control and more accountability need to be coming from the geothermal project. There seem to be a lot of hidden agendas, and you see there is no rigid time frame in terms of when to expect output or results. We just investing and taking loans, and we're not even quite certain that this thing will ever become a reality. So that these are the concerns that exist, and we hope, having made the comments, we will get answers and we will get solutions to some of these concerns. Brother, any last points you want to make, because our time seems to be up and we have to leave the studio in a while.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on this program. I really thought it was an enlightening program. Thanks, brother Zed. I haven't seen you in a while, so good to see you, man.
Yeah, man, love,
Good to see you in
love,
person.
love, brother, love.
I may be coming up your
Love.
way soon, so I'll touch base. Yeah,
Yeah,
and just
brother, yeah, brother.
let's keep up the fight. Let's stay resolute, and I hope I'll be invited to some other program in the future. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Don, you're one of our members, and you have to make your resource more available to us. So we will be calling you time and again to assist us with this program. And it's always interesting to hear a new voice, you know. I think as we try to enrich the program and as we try to diversify, we need more expertise, more varied. We need to diversify our expertise as available to the program. So we're very glad
We
to
must
have you
invite
tonight.
you
And I
too. We
think
must
you
invite you.
made important comments, you know, that I'm sure the listeners will bear in mind. And as we continue to educate the people, we always say our program is education for liberation, raising the national, political, cultural consciousness of the people. Our Lady Mrs. Valentine, you know, her point on wisdom, that is what we're all about, enriching the capacity of our wisdom. And when I say, I'm talking about we in Dominica as a country, as a nation. This is what this program is all about. We are not there to bash people. We are not there to create any false pretenses. We are not there to fool people. We go by the rules. You know, people call us, you know, asking, what are your practical solutions to electoral reform? I mean, come up and suggest your practical reforms to enrich our program. You know, this is where we want to be. But to just come and trying to call and trying to waste time with our program, I personally am not there to tolerate such nonsensical nonsense, if I may use that terminology. Yes, Brother Zed. Final points, Brother Zed.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. It's always, you know, Dominica first. You know, no matter where we are, it's always Dominica first. You know, and I just want to ask our people, you know, to think of when they call the radio. Start thinking of their points. Start thinking how their point can make it easier for us, not just making the point. Let us start, you know, we can make the struggle easier for us. Peace and blessings.
Yeah, good point, Brother Zed. I hope all our listeners on the whole, I think, can be guided by that concept. Matt always say, before you call, think of what you see. You know, so yes, we are eager to. It's always easy to identify what the problems are. It is a little bit more problematic to provide the solutions, but I think we want to be on the side of solutions, you know, making alternatives, you know, coming up with alternative opinions, trying to see how we can improve on what is already in place. And yes, I know some people feel, well, we need to go to the ultimate goal of power change of governance, if I may use that terminology. But there are little incremental things we can do along the way that will or what I would say, expedite the process towards ultimate governance change, I would say. So yes, all of us have to be in that mode to make that kind of contribution. So yes, listeners, I want to thank Don tonight, thank Zed tonight, and our man on the console. Richie Farrell, we want to thank you for assisting us tonight because our brother Brother Blanchard was unavailable. Our vice president, he has been on a sabbatical for the summer. I think he's somewhat due to be in the States. I'm not sure exactly when, but he's enjoying his holidays. So, Brother Zah, enjoy your holidays and make the best use out of it. I'm sure you take time to listen to us, but of course, anytime you feel free, you can break the sabbatical and give us a call. So, yes, you can always feel like giving us a call. I just recall that just I think sometime earlier today, I heard about the passing of former Assistant Youth Development Officer, Mrs. Amoy Williams. Yeah, that's the sister of Rabbit the Calypsonian and Father Alexander and so on. Yeah, she was dynamite in the youth division. I did some work with her, but I understood that she passed. So I want to use this opportunity. She was a person very much involved in youth empowerment, youth development, and so forth. I think she did a lot of work in that regard. I know her husband was a good friend of my deceased friend, Cuthbert George. We did very many social little things together. So I want to extend our condolences on behalf of CCM to the family of Mrs. Amoy Williams on her passing. And yeah, I mentioned Arthur Smith earlier. So that's it. Our listeners, thanks having you tonight. And those of you who called, thanks for your comments. And I am sure there may have been others who may have wanted to call and for one reason or the other were unable to reach us. But in all, we want to thank you for making this program an interesting and interacting one. Good night, one and all.
Yeah.